And we're live. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Hoodoo, or the Conjure series, Hoodoo 101. I know, guys, it's been a while since I've been on. Hello, Denise B. Oh, and here's
Hi!
Dave. We can see what he's thinking, right? Anyways, yeah. So it has been a while since I have been on. I know I got some news that has been bothering me the past few days, so I'll get into more of that later on when I have kind of had a little bit more time to sort my feelings and whatnot. But for now, let's focus on the class because we're doing part two. Hi Opal, hi Hedgie, and hi Fallon. So I'm just gonna let people kind of filter in a little bit right now. I'm just gonna play the banner, and then we'll discuss a little bit later what's gonna be happening. You guys ready? Okay, let's go. Oh my god. Okay. So guys, last week, okay, not last week, a couple weeks back, we did the Hoodoo 101 part 1, which was all about the history of Hoodoo. So if you guys didn't catch that, make sure to go back to the previous video of when I did part 1 on Hoodoo history, because believe me, it is super, super important and actually very interesting to learn about the Hoodoo of history. Whenever I am learning any well, basically anything, I always find it important to understand the history and the roots behind how something got started. So, first, hello, Cameron. Hi, Lori. Hi, Denise. Ah, Denise, it's been a while. Hi, Isis Mommy. Hi, Lisa. So, I have, like, the past week has been crazy, you guys, because I've had so many papers to grade, and I'm half of you guys need to go back to the videos that I watched or that I made last week, because half of you guys failed the quiz that the homework that you guys sent me, and I'm actually very disappointed. I'm just kidding. I didn't assign homework because that's stupid. I'm sorry, but we are not at Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry, where I'm here to tell you guys information, then have you email me and send me in homework for me to grade. Like, I'm sorry. Are we in high school again, where we're trying to learn? Guys, my video that I'm putting up there is educational. If you are curious, you can always click replay. If you didn't get something, you could always shoot me an email.
Why, who does that? Who makes people submit homework?
Oh, some people, but let's not
There's
mention.
someone on YouTube?
No, there's people out there. Like, I remember reading this one time about this woman that like did a course on how to be a witch, and then was like sending a certificate as if like you have to train to become a witch, and then once you get a certificate, you're an official witch. Like, girl, please. No, that's not how it works.
People are crazy.
So, last week we talked about Hoodoo history. Today, I figured it's important to talk about ancestral veneration, because ancestral veneration and working with your ancestors is a huge part of what Hoodoo is. We draw upon the power of the collective ancestors to fuel our magic. Hi, Witchy in the Woods. So, let's talk a little bit about who our ancestors are and how to set up an altar, how to work with them. So let's start at the very beginning of it all. So, without further ado, who are our ancestors? Our ancestors are everyone that has walked the path before us. They can be ancestors that you know, ancestors that you don't know, people who have been your friend for so long that have passed away that you then consider them family, become part of your ancestral pool. And it's interesting because Dave and I, we had an interesting talk about our beliefs in what happens to you when you pass over. And we had a kind of general consensus. Actually, Dave, come over here because this is a quite interesting topic that we can discuss.
Yeah,
Just
hold on.
pull up a seat,
Hold on,
honey.
hold on,
Pull
hold
up a
on.
seat.
Hold on a second.
Where is he? Oh, he's coming. While he's coming over, I'm going to take a drink. It's not alcoholic, you guys. It's what is it? I'm drinking Blackberry Izzy.
All right.
Um. Hi, Arlene.
Where the fuck am I gonna sit?
Ain't no one have time for that witch class to get a ticket, right, Haji?
Hold
Okay,
on.
Dave is
Yeah, this
taking
table's gonna
forever.
move. Well, look at you.
Be
Got
careful.
Me
Be careful.
this tiny
Okay.
crevice to get in.
Oh,
over
here, let me move over a bit.
There you go.
Hold on, let me just toss out the homework that we didn't assign.
But what are you assigning homework for?
I didn't assign
I think whack
homework.
jobs.
Because that's stupid.
I'm instructor whack job. Do the homework.
So Dave and I the other day were having a discussion about what happens when you pass over. Right, Dave?
Yeah.
So what is your belief about what happens to you once you pass over after this life?
Oh, when you die. Well, okay. So this is kind of what I believe. And don't laugh. What I believe is it's a combination of reincarnation and ascension into heaven. So what I believe is with each life, right? With each life, you gain kind of like what I equate to as soul knowledge. You get more and more enlightened. As you get enlightened, you go up a rung, and you get more and more enlightened until the point at which you're so enlightened as a soul that you ascend up into the afterlife, into heaven, or Valhalla, whatever you want to call it. But into the eternal paradise.
Interesting. And then my theory with the ancestors is there's like an ancestral pool that you become part of. So I believe that once you pass over, it takes about 7 days for the soul to literally leave the body. Hence, for example, in New Orleans, they have their funerals for up to 7 days because they believe also that it takes about 7 days for the body to leave itself and then become part of the ancestral realm. I believe that the ancestors live in a parallel dimension to ours. So literally right now, our ancestors are like standing right behind this computer or off to the side watching us. We're just separated by a veil. So that is my belief when it comes to the ancestors. Now the question being, actually, why do you think, Dave, why are the ancestors quite important in the hoodoo practice? Hi, Scary Berry.
Well,
hi, Katie. Hi, Amethyst Moon.
I think it's not just a hoodoo practice. I think ancestors are important in a lot of practices. You
Good
look
point.
at even in the Greek Roman pantheon. The gods on down are ancestors of each other. And even the citizens, the ancestry is very important. Look at even in the Christian or Catholicism, your guardian angel is almost always like a grandparent or someone that has passed on and became an ancestor that is watching over you. It spreads over multiple faiths and spiritualities, and I think that is because not only are we the building blocks of our ancestors, right? But because we contain them, but they are, the connection on back to the origin.
It's interesting because I view it as the ancestors represent the past. Together we represent the present, and we are the future. Oof, that's deep. That's so deep, don't you think?
Oh,
actually, it's also interesting because we have a connection to the spiritual realm as well as the physical. And super interesting because I got to do a whole other series on Santeria / Lukumi, which I have been reading about and studying literally for the past 2 weeks, like nose deep in books, talking to Skyberry 24/7. Thank you so much for all your help in this, Skyberry. But it's interesting because in that belief system, they believe that we have a connection between the spiritual and the physical realm already. We are born with our ori, which basically means head. And they believe that the head...
We're born with our heads?
Dave. The ori has the connection to that spiritual realm. We represent the physical realm. Our head is where the spiritual nexus point, where all the spiritual energy comes in, and then we move down the body, and the feet represent the physical plane and the connection to the ancestors. Jeez.
Yeah.
Where was I going with that?
Yeah, I don't know.
I forgot.
The thing is, what happens when in Hoodoo when you die?
So when you die, you basically you poof, you evaporate, you turn to dust.
And you're
just kidding. No, I'm just kidding. Oh my god, you're so high. You literally believed that.
No,
no,
because I was ready to jump on you. There's no way life is just.
No, Dave. I believe that once you pass over, you become part of the ancestral pool. You're direct ancestral. So, for example,
what are you doing? Now your job is to look over,
yes.
And you're looking at.
So the ancestors' jobs are like your guardians. They help you in your day-to-day lives. They're out there to protect you. They're out there to pretty much make sure you don't do something stupid.
And they're living on this plane on the other side of the veil, but they're here, like in the house.
Yeah.
And
I believe that they are literally right near us. So, for example, when I am standing in front of my ancestral altar and I start to do my ancestral veneration, it's interesting because every single person gets a different reaction to when they know their ancestors are present. For example, for me, whenever any spiritual deity or ancestors are near, my entire body will all of a sudden just vibrate. It gets really intense. My hairs stand up on end, and I just go, woof, okay, you guys are here. Now I know you're here. And it's interesting because some people don't get that feeling, but they know that their ancestors are here because, like, they'll read the candles, the way the candle will flicker. For example, I have water acts as a conduit, and I'll go further into this for the ancestral altar and why I set up certain things. But some people will see a sign of bubbles appearing in their
Okay, guys, that's my chicken beeping. So...
Okay, he'll be back later.
I'm going to eat
a sign of bubbles appearing in your cup that the ancestors have heard you and they are here. It's present. What if they don't want to? Then it's completely fine, Arlene. Sometimes the ancestors will be like, nah, we ain't got the time right now. But most of the time, some ancestors, if not all of them, will be there behind you to help you with what you need. Do you think new souls travel to other planets when we pass on? That's a good question. I guess so. It really depends on your belief system, rather. I've never done any ancestral why can't I read? Let's just bring it up here. I've never done any ancestral work. I do feel like I connect with some kind of spirit guide, but don't know who or what it is. Well, that's what's actually very interesting about ancestral work, is because it's a core foundation of Hoodoo. Hi, D-Lam. Oh gosh, so many questions. Hold on, guys. How can you become more aware of your ancestral presence? Okay, so let's get started with actual ancestral work, guys. It all starts with setting up an ancestral altar. The reason why we set up an ancestral altar is because it creates that connection between you and your ancestors. It's a way for you to honor them, to feed them in turn for their help, because obviously you don't just stand there and go, okay, guys, I need you to help me. I have a spell going on and I need your help. Do this spell for me. Please make it work. It doesn't work like that. You guys need to give them offerings. You need to remember them, and you need to form a connection with your ancestors. That's the number one thing that's the most important, is building that connection between you and your ancestors. Because think of it this way. If you walked up to a random person on the street stopped him and went, "Hey, dude, do you mind if I can borrow your phone because I got to make a call to like New Orleans to talk to Billy Bob who needs help with moving his furniture." Do you really think that stranger is going to be like, sure, here's my phone? He's going to be like, "I don't know who the hell you are." He's going to be like, "You can go find someone else to help you with your work. I don't know you." So having that connection is very important because it builds that trust. It builds that power between you two, and it's always nice to talk to them, to be like, let them know how your day is, let them know like, "Oh, hey, I got this promotion yesterday, it was super exciting, I just wanted to thank you for your help in creating that energy and the possibility for me to get that position that I really, really needed." It all starts with setting up an altar and building that connection. So once you build up that connection, then you become more aware of the ancestral presence. You will know, guys, when that presence arrives. You will feel it. It's like it's difficult to describe because everyone has a different experience with their ancestral connection because everyone's ancestral background is very different. No ancestral altars are ever going to look the same, and no one's ancestors are exactly the same. The way that I work with my ancestors are going to be different from Dave's because he comes from an Italian background. I come from an Asian background. So obviously my ancestral altar setup is going to be different from his. It's going to be different from Skyberry's. It's going to be different from Opal's. It's going to be different from everyone else because it comes down to your background. Other realms, but not planets. Yes, exactly, Skyberry. Other realms. Actually, other realms are very interesting as well because Dave and I have like the coolest conversations. We were literally talking the other day about timelines and other dimensions. So, for example, sorry to squirrel for a minute, but for example, I was like, because he was like, "Oh, do you believe in the multiverse?" And I was like, "What the hell's the multiverse?" He's like, "Well, it's literally like all different types of realms. For example, I believe in there's such thing as the mirror world. The mirror world is like literally ours, but just flipped. And then I also believe in different timelines that exist out there. And what I mean by a timeline is there are multiple, think of it as like several different threads of string all tied at one end. They're all moving along at the same time, but they're all completely different separate lives, but they're exact moments in this time, which sounds super confusing. So to put it easily, I believe that right now in this exact moment, for example, in a different timeline, Dave and I will be doing exactly what we're doing right now, but we could be roommates. Instead of having cats, we may have dogs. Instead of being middle class, we may be rich as hell and have $1 million mansion. Like, it's literally the same exact thing that's happening. It's just different variations of situations that exist along the same plane, if that makes any sense. But let's move on because that has nothing to do with the ancestors. Oop, that wasn't the question. Hedgie Witch says, "Is there a way to communicate with ancestors without having a sister? Having I think you meant ancestor altar due to limited space." Yes, and Hedgie, I will actually get right into that right now. So, the number one question that I get asked a lot is, how do you set up an ancestral altar? Guys, ancestral altars can be super, super basic. Like, it can literally start out as a white candle, white cloth, and a cup of water or a glass, and a picture of your ancestor on a tiny, tiny little table. Something as simple as that, with like maybe a bouquet of roses as an offering to them. And then, of course, you can go as elaborate as you want. I'll give you guys a little list of things that you can put on your ancestral altar as you build it up eventually. And I understand what you mean, Hedgie, because I literally, for the past week, have probably rearranged my altars let's see. For example, not over there. Like right behind me, we have Oya. Where's my hand? Where's my hand? This is weird. Oya's right here. And if we go up, we have Elegua. Nope. Elegua's here. We have Shango going up over here. And then up here in the back, you don't see him, is Obatala. But because of limited space, I had to condense everything. But get like a TV tray. So what else can go on your ancestral altar? So it all starts off with a cloth. That's very important because you want to have your space looking nice and tidy. So the standard cloth color for ancestral altars, guys, is white. Now, it doesn't necessarily have to be white. You can go based off of what your ancestors want from you, and you will know when they want something on their altar. There have been times when I've been walking in savers, I'll walk by something and then my body just quivers and I get that pulse of like massive energy. I'm like, ooh, okay, the ancestors are talking. Let's move back a sec. Yep, they want that pot. They will tell you when they want something that goes on their altar. Now, the reason why for a white cloth underneath the altar, guys, is because it represents purity. And a lot of the time people are like, oh, well, why can't I just use whatever colored cloth I want? You can. The traditional color is white, just to let you know. But that doesn't mean that you can put whatever colored cloth you want that you have on hand. Because what's very important is go based off of what you feel and what the ancestors feel they want on their altar. If it means they want a green cloth, by all means, put a green cloth. If they want a blue cloth, put a blue cloth. If they want a pink cloth with kitty cats on it, by all means put a pink cloth with kitty cats on it. You could even take a blanket that was made by your grandmother and use that as the foundation of your altar. Now moving on, the next thing that I definitely would recommend putting on your altar would be candles. Majority is white because it represents Dave. Sorry, he's like watching something. White is the absence of all color.
The inclusion of all color.
Oh, the inclusion of all color. Again, white representing purity. I mean, you don't necessarily have to have a white candle. You can put whatever colored candle you want. The reason for a candle is because it represents the energy of the ancestors. And then I add water. I generally try to have a couple different glasses of water for my ancestors because, you know, my ancestors, they be thirsty and they like to drink up that water fairly quickly. So the reason for water is because water acts as a conduit for the ancestors to reside in. Actually, it's one of the conduits. There are actually two conduits. I'll get into the second one. The first conduit is water. And it represents the community of the ancestors. And make sure, guys, you keep your water clean. You want to at least change out your water every few days. You don't want to be giving them no dirty ass water that's like all crusty inside and like there's like all but a wee little drop left and there's like weird dirt up inside it. No. You want to make sure your ancestors are happy, so that means you keep the glasses full, clean, and sparkling for them to enjoy. The next thing I add is incense. The reason being for incense is because it represents being able to bring the ancestors. It's a mean of transportation from the spiritual realm to the physical realm on the ancestors. I believe that they travel between worlds through the incense that I burn. Plus, they like the smell too. Honestly, you can burn whatever you think smells nice to them. And whatever smells nice to you. Obviously, you don't want to go smell or burning something that smells nasty and you're just like, oh, I don't like the smell of this. But you know what? The ancestors can have it anyways. But in the end, guys, it really is all about work with what you have. Like, for example, the other day, I remember talking to Skyberry about my Orisha altars. And I was freaking out because I was like, oh my God, Skyberry, so what incense should I burn? And she was like, well, you can burn 7 African powers. You can burn myrrh or frankincense if you have it. But honestly, just burn whatever you think they will like. So, hey, I had red rose on hand, and I lit that and burnt it for them because I was like, you know what? That's what I think they will like. So in the end, it's really about forming that connection with your ancestors to know what they like and what they dislike. Hold on. So I've been rambling for a little bit, so I'm just going to catch up on questions here. Yes, light a candle for them. Hold on. Do ancestors have to be blood DNA related? Arlene, that is a good question. That also depends on your view of what you consider ancestors. A lot of the time, ancestors are categorized in 3 different sections. Some people believe ancestors are your direct blood lineage only. Some people then believe that your ancestors are your blood lineage, but also can be people that you've known and consider family that pass on that then can become the realm of ancestors. And then there's a third category, and I completely forgot what it was. Let me think. Wait. Blood. Oh, and then some people believe that anyone can become an ancestor, whether or not you're related by blood. But then again, my belief is that I believe that the ancestors are composed of blood lineage as well as people that you have come to know for a long time that you then become family related. So for example, growing up, our best friend Paige, we used to hang out every single summer, and I still know her. I went to her wedding. I would consider her like part of the family because I've known her for so long that she to me is considered family. That awkward moment when you forget what the hell you were about to talk about. Ooh, okay. Oh, we were talking about blood DNA. What else? Oh, back to the ancestral altar. What goes on it? So, hi Marge. Oh my god, guys, so many questions. Hold on. Any suggestions if you can't burn incense? If you can't burn incense, there's other offerings that you can put as well, guys. So let me just continue on in terms of what you can put for offerings. So offerings can include, I'm just looking at my ancestral altar here, candles, water, incense. I put graveyard dirt because it represents the path that we walk along, that the ancestors walked along before us. To me, it also represents the element earth, which is super important because it's the foundation of everything. When you think about it, the whole world is built upon earth. Earth is the main, to me, the most main element, because without earth, nothing else really actually does anything. But hi October. And then you can put pictures of your ancestors if you have it. You can put jewelry. You can put flowers. If they have a favorite food that they really enjoyed in life, you can put that out for them. When it comes to food, guys, or anything like flowers or something that decomposes over time, you want to make sure you change that out a lot, because you don't want to leave anything rotting on your ancestral altar, because that's kind of disgusting, and I don't think they'd want to eat anything that has bugs all over it, or would appreciate flowers that have all of a sudden wilted and are like turning into dust. So you always want to change out your flowers, always want to change out your water, your foods. And for me, it just kind of get into a habit of when you change it out. So, for example, my glasses of water, I change those out every other day. If it's food, I tend to change that out literally a couple hours later, because, I mean, I don't think your ancestors are going to spend like 12 hours eating food. So after I've made my own dish, I make sure I scoop out a little bit for them, put it on a plate, set it on my ancestral altar, let that sit for a couple hours. They're full, great. I can just toss it out now because they've enjoyed their meal, and hence that is building that relationship with them. It's letting them know that I honor them and respect them, and that in order for them to work with me, it's all about give and take. So they provide me with the protection and their flow of ancestral power, and in turn, I honor them through offerings of food, water, whatever. What else? Question. Or culture. Oh, hold on. Where was the other question? Sorry, walk my path. I saw part one of your question. Or could they be ancestors of the land where you lived? Yes, because your ancestors can are. This is what's interesting because are you referring to the graveyard dirt? Um, because a lot of people say that graveyard dirt is best collected from the grave of your ancestors. And obviously, I'm adopted and I can't fly all the way back to the Philippines to collect some graveyard dirt. So I basically did some research on my on a cemetery nearby. I looked up a war veteran. I found his grave, left him offerings, and on another what's called episode, I will talk about how to collect graveyard dirt and its purposes and the different graves that you can dig from and the whole process of that, because that's a whole other story, guys. But obviously I am adopted, so I can't fly back to the Philippines. I can't find my ancestral grave, so I had to collect it from a war veteran because a war veteran represents protection, and hence I collect my graveyard dirt from a war vet. And then a lot of people are like, okay, but I don't know who half my ancestors are. Do I need to know all of them in order to work with them? Nope, you don't. I simply call out, when I call out to my ancestors, I just start my prayer, let them know, ancestors, I hear you, I am here. I just let them know how my day was. And when I call out to them, I don't go through a whole list of like, okay, I'm calling out to Betty, Bob, Jessica, Anthony, Christopher. No, I just go, I show honor and respect to the ancestors known and unknown, which for me is mostly unknown, but okay, there's a few. Actually, yeah, there's a few that are known. For example, my grandparents. But yeah, because that's a question a lot of people ask is, do you need to know your entire lineage to work with them? You do not. I just call them out by through ancestors known and unknown. Um, how do how do you leave your food offerings alone? Honestly, Opal, I feed my cats first and then I put out my offerings. So therefore, my cats do not want to eat my food because they've already eaten their own food, and then they're kind of like distracted for a little bit. And then most of the time, it is kind of just trying to shoo them away from eating it. But also, a good trick that I learned the other day is, for example, if you have a plate of food for the ancestors, what you can do is take tinfoil or saran wrap and actually cover it so that the smell doesn't radiate throughout the room, so that your cats are like, food, what's that? So that's the little trick that. Ooh, hold on, just knocked that over. Hold on. That's my trick to putting out food without the cats smelling it and wanting to eat. So, number one, distract your cats through feeding them. Number two, wrap the food offerings with tinfoil so that there's no smell. What else? So for example, I'm just going to quickly show you guys what I made here that I put on my ancestral altar, because everyone's altar is different. This is my little spirit bottle that I made, and what's inside it is just things that represent the ancestors to me. So for example, in my jar, I have graveyard dirt to represent the path that we walk along and the connection to the ancestors. I added rice to represent the food of my culture, and the connection between me, because I love my rice, and rice is like the staple food. It's like the mecca of Asians. We love our rice. Um, I added lavender for peace. For what's it called? Friendship, to create that bond. I added star anise as an offering. I added. Oh, jeez, I can't even see what the hell's in here because it's all dark. What else did I add? Oh, I added cinnamon stick. Um, I added. I'm not gonna list everything I put in here because actually I don't even remember, and it's too dark to actually see what's up inside there. But honestly, guys, it's really do your research if you don't really know much about your background. So, for example, I had to do a little bit of research in terms of foods, in terms of Asian drinks that were popular. Um, but it's really just about figuring out what your ancestors liked, whether it be um, their favorite jewelry to put on your altar, as I said earlier, or their favorite drinks, their favorite foods. You can put photos of them on your altar. Um, do 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 do. Oh, also one other thing that I have on my altar, which I will show you guys because it's right next to me, is I added this. This is my skull. This is Ezra. I named him. You don't have to have a skull on your altar. For me, I decided to put a skull because it represents the physical connection of the ancestors. So we have the water that represents the spiritual conduit, and then we have the skull that represents the physical conduit. Yep, that's it. um, what else did I put on here? Honestly, that's all I have on my ancestral altar for now because before I had like all this junk on it, a million things, and I really kind of started to condense it down. A, because of space, but B, because I realized it's not about how much stuff you can pack on your altars, you guys, because a lot of people are like, "Oh my God, Lucian, your altars are so beautiful," which not to be like egotistical, but yes, I know my altars are beautiful. But I've come to the realization that it's about the connection of your ancestors. It's not about how many things that you can pack on your altar for them to be like, okay, we see that you're honoring us. Honoring really comes through as the connection that you make, that constant talking to them every day, letting them know how your day went, letting them know, like, oh, hey, so the other day I was talking to Barbara and she told me that Diego was all like hurt because like uh Dave broke up with her, and you get the point. Just have a conversation with them, you guys. That's what they do. They want to know how you are, how your life is going, even though they can see you at 24/7. It's still nice for them to know you remember who they are. Because in the end, it's all about connection, remembrance, honoring. The three staples of ancestral veneration. Still thinking about stealing that skull. Right, Skyberry. Who knows? I might get you one. Um. Oh, hold on. Oh, damn it! This isn't the. Hold on, guys. I gotta like move this back. Cause my foot's falling asleep. Ouch. Okay. Yes. Skyberry also said you can also put food on a small plate while you are eating, then throw it away up. Ooh, excuse me, after you are done eating if you don't have room on your altar. Exactly. Thank you so much. Because, guys, having that little extra plate represents them. So you're leaving that food out for them. Do you think ancestors are humans only? Nope. No, not at all. So, for example, guys, on my ancestral altar, I also placed the ashes of our late dog, Yogi, because he was like my cuddle baby. um, Yogi and I, when we first met, he absolutely hated me. Like, he growled at me. He didn't want to get anywhere near me. When I tried to pet him, he would bite me. Gosh, it took a while to like get used to him and him used to me, but then became thick as thieves. He actually, I think, loved me more than Dave half the time. No, he loved us both. But no, when Yogi passed, I added him to our ancestral altar, which I have to put him back up on here now that I remember. Sorry, Yogi. Um, but no, ancestors don't have to necessarily just be human. Your pets can even join the ranks of ancestors because they are part of your family. They are part of who you are. They are essentially part of you.
Fuck.
Hi, Caroline. Skyway says, I have my cat's urn on my ancestors' altar and had her for 21 years. Wow. Exactly. So pets definitely can go up on your altar, you guys. Recently, I just did discover... Oh, one other very important thing. You want to make sure that your ancestors have their own altar. You don't... As I tried to add Oya to my ancestral altar, but thank you, Skyberry, for correcting me, and I forgot for all of a split second that your ancestors need to have their own personal altar. You don't want to add anyone else, no other deities, up in their personal space, because that altar is for them and your ancestors alone. Oh, that's what I was talking about. I was watching a video the other day about ancestral altars and the do's and don'ts of ancestral altars. Number one important thing is you don't want to add anyone who has died a tragic death. The reason being, well, you don't want to add them right away. You can add them later on, but you want to give them time to process. You want to give them time to heal. But the main number reason for not adding someone who has died a tragic death right away is because their soul isn't at rest. It's not at peace. So you don't want to be calling upon someone who's died a tragic death and they're all like freaking out in the beyond, and here you are trying to like get them to help you with a money spell. Like, if you died a tragic death and you're still trying to figure out how the hell you died and why the hell am I here, do you think you're really going to want to help someone with a money spell? No. So that's the reason why you don't. Other than that, you can add anyone you really want. Oh, good. Oh, and I'm so sorry walking my path. It is so difficult when a loved pet passes over. I can't, well, actually, I can't imagine because I dealt with it when Yogi passed, and it was horrible. I cried for literally every single day for a good week before we had to put him down, and then I literally was a mess for a good month after that. It takes time to heal. It's not easy. But the number one thing you can do is by honoring them and placing them on your ancestral altar. And October, are you here? Oh, you are. You just said something. So October, you and I talked about an altar. I'm not going to go into specifics without your permission, but I'll be quite vague until I do have your permission if you do allow me. But we did talk about a very specific type of altar because she wanted to know how to set up one for a specific type. Not for someone that... I don't know how to describe this. Actually, October, do you mind if I quickly just kind of use your situation for... It's okay? Okay, thank you, October. So, October's son passed away. It's been 9 years, and he was an infant when he passed away. And it's been 9 years from that time. So she wanted to start working with her ancestors, particularly her son. And I told her that I would help her set up an altar for that specific purpose, because I've actually had a couple people that are like, I have a child that I wanted to add to my ancestral altar, but I'm not really quite sure what should go on it. But think of it honestly as anyone else, any other member that you would. So, for example, things that can go on altar for a child is, for example, you could put their baby blanket, pictures of them, or even if you don't have pictures, because, oh yeah, well, depending on how young they were, you could put sonogram photos if you have one. You could put clothing, like baby clothes. Even if you didn't have any, you can go to the store, buy like a couple little baby socks or a baby shirt, place that on your altar. You can put a little binky if you have one. Um, it's really just about thinking in the mind frame of, if that child was alive today, what would you be showering them with? Because again, it's all about honoring who they were in life and remembering them even in death. Um, ooh, geez, 45 minutes. And this, I was like freaking out at first, you guys, because I was like, oh my god, I don't think I'm going to be able to do like an hour video. It's probably going to be like 30 minutes and then it'll be done. But I didn't realize how long this would actually take to get all this out. What else? Did I miss anything? Talked about altar space, cloth, separate altar, don't put someone who died a tragic death, different variations of altars. Yeah. And just to say and stress again, don't go crazy, guys, and stressing over what to put on your ancestral altar. Start off small and simple, because it's about building that connection. Get a white candle or a candle, light that candle, put a glass of water, light some incense, or put a photo of them or jewelry, and then just start talking to them. Build that connection. Hi, Kay. Does anyone have, well, people have been asking questions the whole time, but does anyone else have any more questions for me regarding ancestral altars? Growing up, we all have coffee with the ancestors every morning. Yes, Fatima, I do the same thing. Okay, well, I got to get back into doing it. But for the longest time, I actually had a little Asian teacup with an Asian tea pourer. Dave, what do you call the teacup or the tea that the tea goes inside?
What?
A teapot. A teapot. Wow. Nothing. Go back to your show. So I had a teapot, and every single morning when I woke up, I would make some tea, pour it into the teapot, pour a glass for me and a glass for them, sit down, meditate, call upon my ancestors, and just talk to them. I'd let them know, okay, so this is how my day is going to be. This is how I want my day to be. And this is my visions for the week ahead. Hey, even if it means pouring a cup of coffee and doing a tarot spread with them, that's also a good way to connect. What are some other ways you can connect with your ancestors? Yeah, just sit down, light a cigar, have a shot of rum with them. Are your cats okay? Yes, Kay, they are. They're asleep. So Loki is over on his little Asgard tower perch sleeping, and Thor is actually asleep, curled in a little ball next to Dave. It's actually so cute. Teapot, yes. Thank you, Skyberry. I can't believe I forgot what a teapot was called. That's pretty sad. That just shows how often I do not use a teapot. Oh, yes. Nope, it didn't click. Walk My Path says, October Healing Spirit. So sorry to hear that. And an altar for them sounds beautiful. Absolutely. And October, this weekend, if you want me to, when we come over, we can do some Reiki sessions. And then we can also do help set up your altar if you want me to. So I think I pretty much covered everything so far that I can think of for ancestral veneration. Oh, days to, honestly, there is no specific day of when and time. Oh, no, actually I lied. No, actually, yeah. Honestly, work with your ancestors whenever you really want to. my honestly belief is to build a better connection is to light their ancestral altar every day. Preferably for me, the best time for me is to do it at the end of the day, because that's when your mind is a little bit more at ease. You've had time to relax. Um, I never do it right in the morning, because I'm usually like half asleep still and can't be bothered by anyone. But I mean, it's different for everyone. Some people are more. Okay, let's put it this way. God, this keeps falling over and freaking me out. Let's put it this way. Some people are night owls. Some people are early birds. Me, I'm just an exhausted, eternal, exhausted pigeon. So, um, and it's when you're working with them, it's more of creating a little schedule, not of when to work with them, but obviously you want to get into the habit of saying, okay, every Monday of the week is going to be the day in which I'm going to clean my ancestral altar, and stick with it, because you don't want to be like doing it on a Monday and then forgetting 2 weeks later and going, oh crap, I just forgot. Now I got to clean, as like you have dust and dirt all over your altar. So you want to get in the habit of creating a schedule of when to clean your ancestral altars to keep them pretty looking. You want to get into the habit of when you change out their water, when you change out their food. Other than that, oh, night walk my path. Thank you for stopping in. Oh gosh, it's 1:30 a.m. there. Yeah, definitely get to bed there. They're oddly quiet. Oh, the cats, I know. They're sleepy. For now, until it's gonna be like 1 o'clock in the morning. I'm gonna be waking up to the sound of Thor smacking over my maraca. Night Phelan. So it's been about 51 minutes. So before I wrap it up, does anyone else have any last minute questions about the ancestors and ancestral altars? While people are thinking of any questions. Oh, okay, I'll have to watch this back. Was at a hospital this AM, so rest of my day was ready. Oh my god, are you okay, Kay? I hope you're okay. What happened? That's not good. We will be sending you Ricky healing, Kay. Okay. So, two things while people are thinking of questions, if anyone has any last minute. I am going to be starting a second series, and it's going to be revolving around the tradition of Santeria / Lakumi, because I have literally spent like 2 weeks studying left and right, and I just wanted to share a little bit of my knowledge, and hopefully open someone's eyes to a different form of practice that they didn't realize was actually out there. So I will be doing a Santeria series 101, and those will be on Thursdays. And then to do next class, let me think. Oh, next class we're going to be going over the laws of Hoodoo. And what I mean by laws, like, for example, correct ways to dispose of rituals when you're done with them. The laws of similarity, the laws of contagion, what they all mean, because they are very, very fundamental when casting anything in Hoodoo. And then I think we will actually start to get more physical hands-on, if you know what I mean. Sorry, I know you guys, you really are like itching to do physical stuff, but first I gotta get all this stuff out first, because it's very important to know the basics. Sorry, I could not figure out the word before we do the physical hands-on, because it's like thinking you know how to cook turkey and you have read like 3 things on how to cook turkey, and then all of a sudden you think you are an expert on turkey cooking, and then you go make a turkey and turn out all wrong because you didn't actually take the patience and the time to read up on it. Yay! Okay. Yes. The Santeria 101 will be Thursdays at 8 p.m. Starting this Thursday. What else is going on? what did I just say? So I talked about what's up next for Hoodoo, Santeria class. What's today? So tomorrow, Dave will be going live.
Huh?
You'll be going live tomorrow for your readings.
Tomorrow's Wednesday, yeah.
Yep, Dave will be going live for his readings. And then my Santeria class Thursday, popcorn party Friday,
morning.
Saturday.
Yeah. We are Saturday. We're talking tarot.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he's going to be talking about tarot, starting with the Fool.
Starting with the Fools.
Sweet, sweet. Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed the popcorn party, the Hoodoo, the Conjure series Hoodoo 101 Part 2. And I will see you guys next week for Hoodoo 101 Part 3.
Oh, turn it. Bye, everybody!
Oh, and there's Thor. Oh, wait, where is he? Sorry, ignore that mess.
It's just a blanket. Thor likes this blanket.
Oh, no, that's just stuff that I had on the side on the top of this table that I had to move in order to set all this up. So, anyways, have a good night, everyone, and thank you so much, and I hope you learned a little bit more. I hope you enjoyed this Hoodoo 101 course, and I will be assigning homework, and it will be graded. Bullshit. Just kidding, I'm not that stupid. Yeah, if you have any questions, you can rewatch this anytime you want. Not assigning homework, not gonna be graded. Because you know what, Magic, you don't need to, like, girl, please. Anyways, have a good night, everyone. Love y'all. Make sure to check out our Facebook group, Crossed Paths. Check out my Instagram, boneyard_gentleman. Check out Dave's Instagram, the_wiz_1. And I will see you guys tomorrow, briefly, on Dave's. Night, everyone. Bye.